What's up, guys? Welcome back. It's been a while. I missed you all. If you pay attention to the intros, you'll notice that this one said story time and not vlog. That's because I'm trying out something new on my channel. I'm trying out a new segment where I'm just gonna be telling stories, talking about the good old stuff I used to do. And I have a lot of stories, so I think it would be fun to share them. I had a TikTok blow up recently. It got a lot of views. That's 4.6 million views, and it's of me cliff jumping. So many people have been like, oh my god, how'd you do that? How'd you start? How do I start? So many questions about cliff jumping. So Katie gave me an idea to start this series where I basically just sit in front of the camera and I tell you guys a story. So grab your blankets, grab your popcorn, and sit back, relax, and let's dive into the story. Today I'm gonna be talking about the time that I jumped a 100-foot waterfall. Now before I go into that, I wanna back up. I wanna go back and talk about how I got into cliff jumping and kind of just a quick run through of what that looked like for me. We had some guys hit me up and they're like, dude, let's go to the mountains. Let's go to Arnold. It's a kind of like a mountain town right outside the Bay Area, right before Tahoe. I have a cabin there that I used to go to growing up, and he's like, dude, let's go cliff jumping. I found a waterfall. So I was like, okay, sure. And that was the first time that I really got the experience of cliff jumping. That was the funnest day. There was a water slide there, a big jump you could jump off of. You could go down the creek. Felt like an adult water park, if I could explain it in any way. And I just remember that day falling in love with like the idea of like cliff jumping and just like being in nature and water and doing that kind of stuff. So that's where it all started. Fast forward, that next year I moved up to Oregon and I got a job at the trampoline park, and I met Robert Wall, who is, if you are a cliff jumper, you know Robert Wall. He's one of the best cliff jumpers in the game, and the dude's insane. And I met him and it was like, whoa, like you're a cliff jumper. And I was like, I'm a cliff jumper too. Meeting him was the opening of the door to be like, okay, I could really become a cliff jumper. I could really dive into this lifestyle, and that's what I did. So his buddies would start coming up and I'd start going with them, and I started jumping and getting more serious about it, doing more flips, doing higher cliffs, and it just happened so fast. And I'm one of those people, I think, where when I get into something and I'm really passionate and I love it a lot, I really dive head first into it, no pun intended. With cliff jumping, I was all in. I was like doing whatever I could to go and cliff jump. You know, whenever I could, I just was obsessed with it. And I think finding a community of people that was really good and better than me, it pushed me to want to get to that next level. But in a good controlled environment where I wasn't being stupid and I wasn't pushing myself too hard, because I understood what was at risk, and I understood that the people there were better because they had been doing it longer and they had more practice. So I just needed to do that and work my way up. I haven't talked this much in a while. With all the quarantine, I don't like really talk to people. So when I do anything, I like to set goals, and I like to have something that you can achieve. And for me in cliff jumping, it was jump a 100-foot cliff. That was the goal from early on, was to jump a 100-foot cliff. The cliff jumping community did a trip up to Oregon and then jumped ABIQUA Falls, which was measured up at 102 feet if you jump from the right side. And seeing all those guys jump in, all the videos from that, I was like, oh my god, that waterfall is stupid good looking. It is insane. It is so pretty. It's a perfect waterfall. It had these beautiful canyon walls next to it. Everything was perfect about it, and I just knew that I needed to do that jump. So I trained and I trained and I worked my way up, and I started getting more comfortable with my heights, getting more comfortable with my flips, trying to decide which flip I was gonna do. Originally I was gonna do a gainer off it because that was kind of my safety trick. I feel like every cliff jumper has a safety trick where they, you know, that's their trick that they know they can throw it down and lace it every time. But, you know, next summer I got really into a trick called a TSUKAHARA, which is a front flip with a half twist into a back flip. So you start forward and then you end backwards. I don't know what happened, but that trick just became my go-to, and I loved it. Just coming out of the back flip and seeing the water and just being able to drop, it just, there's no feeling like it, and I just fell in love with that trick. So I knew that that was a trick I needed to do. So fast forward now, I'm 2 years into being a cliff jumper. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling ready. I knew that it was my time to start really being like, what's the timeline for me jumping this cliff? And Katie and I actually started dating around this time, you know, May of 2018. And it turns out that her family lives in Portland, and this waterfall is right by Portland. I kind of brought this up to her, like, I want to jump 100 foot, and I want to jump ABIQUA Falls, and that was the goal. And she's like, well, dude, I've been to ABIQUA. Let's go. My My house is right there. We can stay there. You can jump it. It will be great. Perfect plan. So I was like, oh my God, okay, I guess I'm gonna meet the parents. So I called Jacob, my main film guy, my go-to whenever I did anything in college and I needed somebody there to film or I wanted somebody to hang out with. Jacob was my boy, so I called him up. I was like, dude, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna jump 100 foot. And he had been aware that I've been trying to do this for a while. So he was like, I'm in, let's do this. So he bought his plane ticket. Next weekend, let's do it. And then we hit up our boy Taylor Gray, who was an insane landscape photographer, but he also is an insane drone pilot. So we're like, we'll get Taylor on the drone. We'll get Jacob on the ground with a different angle. It'll be great. My people will be there. Meet the parents, jump the waterfall. It was a perfect situation. Fast forward that next weekend, day before, and we drive up and we stay at her parents' house, had Thai food, met the parents, it was great. And then the next morning, we woke up, got ready, grabbed goggles, got my wetsuit, got everything, and we all packed in the car and we drove up to this waterfall and we drive in and you get on this dirt road. And that's the best part about cliff jumping. It's like getting to the cliffs and getting to the destinations. It's like you go through just like some of the craziest trails and off-beaten paths because that's how you find like the best stuff. So, you know, you're driving on it and then you get to the trailhead, you park, you get out and you walk down and we go down to the bottom of the waterfall. I mean, you come out of, you know, you come out of the trail and it opens up and it's literally this giant bowl with like canyon walls. The waterfall's right in the middle and it's falling and there's a pool and there's rocks, a rock. It was one of the most gorgeous sights I've ever seen. I was pumped. Of course, when I get there, I need to depth check, which is essentially, if you don't know what cliff jumping is, it's when you jump a cliff, you always gotta make sure that it's safe and that there's no rocks in the water. So you swim down, get your goggles, you depth check, or whatever you need to do, you need to make sure that there's absolutely nothing in there that you're going to land on, break your legs in half, kill yourself, etc. It's a really serious thing and you should definitely do it when you're cliff jumping. So I put on my wetsuit, I put on my goggles, and I go all the way around and I'm jumping in with the white water and swimming down as much as I can, and I'm in there for like 15-20 minutes just scoping it out, seeing what's okay. And all these tourists there were just like looking at me like, what is this dude doing? Like he's in like a wetsuit swimming around, just looked like a weirdo. It was pretty funny, honestly. I thought it was hilarious. And there's like footage of me like swimming around, and I finally gave myself the okay, like, look, it's good. I give the thumbs up, tell my friends, this is happening, let's do this. So I get out, I put on my outfit. Everyone always asks why you wear clothes, like why you wear like shirts and a t-shirt. Not everybody does, but a lot of people do. It's because when you're jumping a waterfall and you're jumping it in an all black wetsuit, you just look like a big black blob flying through the air. But when you wear a bright shirt, that's why I was wearing a pink shirt, or like, you know, some kind of bright article of clothing, the cameras pick you up better, people can see you better. Also, if you land in the water and you are hurt, you're way easier to be spotted and you don't blend in with the water. I mean, yeah, it's kind of silly and it's like, oh, he's wearing clothes when he's jumping, but there are reasons to it. I put on my outfit, saved my goodbyes in case it was the last time I was gonna see any of them. Go up and I was trying, you know, you're trying to find the trail, and Jacob's coming with me because he set up a tripod down below and then he was gonna shoot at the top. And so we're trying to find this trail and we start bushwhacking. We're going through high trees, big brushes, and like our legs are getting all cut up. Eventually we get dumped out onto this trail and then we're thinking like, okay, this has to be what takes you to the top. We're following and then eventually we get dumped out to the top. And the end part had like a rope you had to kind of go down. And it was a whole experience. We're finally there and we're at the top. I go across, there was a little creek at the top and I'm walking across the rocks and I get to the other side. I'm on top. When I get up to the top of the cliff, I've already thought as much as I need to. I have thought through every situation. I've thought through what flip I'm gonna do. I've thought about how I'm gonna tuck it, how I'm gonna throw it, how I'm gonna take off. I have visualized in my head myself doing that so many times that when I get up to the top, all the work's done and I just need to execute and do it. And I walk out to the edge, all the tourists down below instantly look up and they're like, oh my God, this guy's gonna jump. And they start, everyone's taking their phones out. And you know, it's a funny situation because when you go to a cliff that is like a cliff jumping spot, people assume that people are gonna be jumping. So like, it's cool. But when you go somewhere that is just like a tourist attraction and you make it a cliff jumping spot, people go nuts because they're like, I didn't even know that was a possibility. Jacob and Taylor tell me, all right, we're rolling, we're good. It's like tunnel vision. You zone in and I was like, all right, we're going. And I start counting down 3, 2, 1. And I just remember taking off and doing my first flip, coming around and dropping into the backflip. And I had so much air time. It was the closest thing to flying I'll probably ever experience. And I remember landing and like starting to swim up and being like, okay, I made it. Like I'm alive. Like I actually did it. I officially jumped a 100-foot cliff. I'm alive. I'm in one piece. And I pop up and everyone's clapping and going nuts. My friends are going crazy. Katie's freaking out. Jake's freaking out. Taylor's freaking out. Everything about it was just so perfect. It felt like I had just won like the national championship of like basketball. That was like the equivalent of that moment. Your achievements are self-achievements, and I think it's important to understand your self-achievements. For me, jumping a 100-foot cliff was something from the start that I was like, I'm gonna do this. And I think to finally be able to do that, it was hands down one of the best days of my life, and I'll never forget it. I had a lot leading up to it, and to have it pay off, it was amazing. The takeaway should be always be careful, push yourself, but know your limits, and have fun with it, honestly. Enjoy the people, enjoy the memories, enjoy the experiences, and set yourself some goals and go achieve them, because jumping a 100-foot cliff, one of the best days of my life. So that was the first story time. Thanks for tuning in. I have had a blast talking about this. I haven't told this story in a while, and with this TikTok blowing up, I thought it's time. So I'm gonna end this here, but if you don't already, subscribe. Make sure to like and comment down below. My name is Brendan. This has been the first story time, and I'll see you next time.